I'm Jack, and this is the Second Intermission. This channel is for men like me, 45 to 55-year-old, who are in that second intermission and are starting to ask different questions. I know if you look at my channel from the outside and you're not on that stage, you're not in that journey, it's probably going to seem disjointed. But for anybody that's in that true second intermission, you'll understand that we have a lot of different things that we do, and they all have a through line. And my channel clearly has a through line. So if you watch it, you'll see it. And if you don't, maybe the channel's not for you, and maybe you're not in that second intermission. But today, I want to sit here and roll a failed cigar. A quick little cigar that I can smoke right now, drink coffee in my Stay Positive mug, and just talk about what that second intermission is. Talk about what my channel is. Talk about who I am. And if that's something that seems like it interests you, a little bit of hand labor, a little bit of coffee talk, and a slow burn, stay tuned. If you're gonna craft a failed cigar, something that you can roll right away and smoke right away, because normally when you roll a cigar, most people don't realize this, they're not actually in their perfect state for weeks and months. They need to dry out properly before you can actually even rehydrate them somewhat by putting them in the humidor at the right humidity and right temperature. Now, you can roll something if you roll it relatively dry and smoke it in a couple of days, but it's not going to be exactly what you want. And if you roll it too wet, it might go through a secondary fermentation that's going to have kind of a ammonia taste and aroma, which actually dissipates as it dries out and as that second fermentation kind of dissipates and wears off and makes that cigar balanced like it's supposed to be. But this isn't a channel for things like that. Because the one thing that I am definitely gonna say I'm not, it's not this right here. I'm not a cigar aficionado. I'm a person that was taught how to roll cigars from an actual Cuban refugee. So I got some pretty good training. I like cigars, I smoke cigars. I somewhat understand tobacco, but I'm not gonna say I'm a cigar aficionado, because that's just not how I take in the product. I smoke a cigar as a total thing, a total package. You're not gonna hear me talk about the flavor notes, the leather, the finish, how it starts, how it has different segments, different stages. All those things I could talk about, because I know those things. But I don't think that's the way most people experience a cigar. Most people experience a cigar, no matter what quality it is, good, bad, somewhere in the middle, they experience as a total body experience. They smoke it, they enjoy it, and if that is what you do, then the cigar was a good cigar. If you can take it on the patio, burn it for an hour, and enjoy the thoughts that come in your mind or the people you're talking to, then it's a good cigar. And I know we've all had those situations where we go someplace and we're like, who's got the cigars? And you realize no one brought them, so you find some gas station, some convenience store that has a humidor that has a cigar in it. And you're like, okay, I can deal with this. And sometimes you get a cigar that's good. And a lot of times you get a cigar that's bad. But it's not because the cigar was bad. It's because the way they stored it, the way it was taken care of, the way it was, honestly, the way it wasn't preserved. That's what made that cigar bad. Not the fact that it was a cheap cigar, because you can smoke a cheap cigar and enjoy it just as effectively as you can smoke an expensive cigar. And I know personally, because I've done both. I've known it because I've rolled ones that I would think were premium, and I've rolled blends that were pretty bottom of the barrel. And as long as I let it age right, gave it the right humidity, smoked it, I enjoyed it. And that's what I know most people who smoke cigars fall into that category. So when I'm talking about cigars, that's going to be the lens in which I'm going to talk about them. Maybe every now and then you hear a couple of pieces of technical terms, but not really, because I don't use them in my own everyday vocabulary. You're going to hear me talk about the way it burns, the ends. You're not going to hear me say the foot. You're not going to hear me talk about the construction unless I'm actually rolling the cigar. But when I'm smoking it, that's done. It's just something to be enjoyed. And the more you think about it, the more you have to think about it, the more you don't enjoy it. But I'm not pointing a finger at anybody, especially online, who does that. Because that's a whole nother set of skills. That's a whole nother audience that you're presenting to. But for me and the people who are going to watch my content, they're probably going to be the people who just want to smoke it. And that's it. So let me get to rolling that failed cigar so I can ramble even more than I already have been. And one of the things when you're rolling a cigar that you're going to smoke right away, you got to make sure you have that blend of it not being so dry that it's crumbly, but not being so wet that it doesn't burn at all properly. And a failed rolled cigar is going to be a loose cigar. It's going to burn fast. It's going to burn uneven. It's going to canoe. It's going to have little pits. It's going to have all those things. But that's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to craft a perfect cigar. You're trying to craft a cigar that you can smoke and have a perfect time doing it. So that's what I'm going to do. It's not going to be too complex. It's not going to be too strong. It's not going to be anything other than just a cigar to enjoy, sit back, and talk to you. Everything's going to be done relatively quickly because it doesn't need to be precise in any way, shape, or form. The tools I'm going to use are going to be the most expedient tools I have. Quicker I roll it, quicker I can get to smoking it. When you're rolling a field cigar like this, you definitely want to have kind of a lot of long tubes if you can, because the cigar is going to have a difficult time actually staying in shape the way that it needs to. So if you don't roll pretty long, precise tubes, not only is it not going to burn well, it's also gonna kind of fall apart as you're smoking it, and you're gonna have to tend to it a lot more than you would like. And that's fine, because you're rolling something quick, and if you have to adjust on the fly, it's something you do. But if you can make note of that, it'll make it easier. And if you don't have to cut, replace, put pieces in the middle, if you can have one long segment, it's gonna make it easier. And nothing's gonna go to waste. So those pieces that I'm gonna chop off, I'm gonna just put into my box right here so I can make a Cuban sandwich and do that later. So what I mean by normally, you start the bunching, then you rip a piece off of the head, put it in, you rip the tail piece off, and you put that in. but that's going to make, when it burns, those pieces are going to be loose. So instead, if you can keep the length that you're kind of going to smoke it, makes everything a lot easier. Like one solid piece like that is going to give you enough that you can roll it, that you can cut off a little bit of the loose on the top and on the bottom. But this right here is not really what I'm going to struggle with putting in, at least not for this. And it's this stuff right here that I'm talking about. You might get a long piece like this. That's worth putting in there. The bunching is important, but not as important as if you're trying to roll something like this. Because you can press it for a couple of minutes if you want, just to give it a little bit more consistency, but it's not really needed. You can pretty much start to spark it up and burn it as soon as you roll it. This good dry stuff like this is very important to this cigar. You can feel it where it starts to, that's what I'm gonna take off. Honestly, this bunch right here, for this little bit of coffee that I have left in the conversation I want to have, that's more than enough. It's not really a big piece of binder, but that's fine. Want to roll it tighter than you would normally. And you can hear that there's some crumble there because I'm trying to keep everything as dry as I can. You don't want to use too much glue because that's moisture that you don't really want and something you're going to burn right away. Now I got something like this, pretty ugly, not really rolled the best. So you could grab another piece of binder, something quick. This isn't even binder that I would be using if I was making another cigar, because I would case it, which is kind of moisten it so you could soften it. This is binder that I actually use in my filler. So it's definitely a drier binder. I am gonna press it for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna press it in a mold that's probably a little tight for it, but that's actually what I want. A lot of times you wouldn't even put a wrapper on these cigars. Normally, I would wet down my board or my piece of stainless steel, but I'm not even gonna wet it down. Just gonna cut it and go from there. Just that couple of minutes of pressing made a much better product. And if I went to brew another cup of coffee or anything like that, that press time would be more than adequate. But this is pretty much real time. Got a rip. It's because I'm using dry stuff. Sometimes you're gonna get those rips. Alrighty. When you roll a cigar like this, that's rough, the way you cut into it is pretty important. You don't want to cut too much off because it's going to fall apart a lot easier. So you kind of want to either give it a punch or give it a V. It's going to be a little soft to do any of those things, but that's what you get when you're rolling something quick to smoke right now. Let's see how she burns. There's some landscapers outside, so I don't have the garage door open. Let me open it up. Oh, that's actually really nice light. Let's light it up. So one cool thing about having cigar glue, you can fix something on the spot. It's the one thing I don't like when I'm actually in a cigar shop. If something comes apart, kind of can't fix it. You can do that at home. It's not perfect, kind of ugly. It's a nice size. You're gonna roll something like this. Fatter the better. Better for airflow. It's gonna be a messy ash. Not something that you're gonna be proud to show off. But you get to make it quick. You get to smoke it quick. And sometimes that's all that matters. And if you keep it dry when you're rolling it, you don't really have to worry too much about tending it because it's so loose that it's gonna burn itself. But I said I wanted to kind of sit here and discuss who I am, what this channel is, and why you should watch. Or even better yet, not why you should watch. Because honestly, you can see a man rolling a cigar, whether they're doing it gracefully with skill or fumbling through it. You might want to watch just to see the train wreck. So that's a reason to watch. But the better question is, why should you come back? And that's the thing that hopefully I'm able to do. Give you a channel that you watch and you want to come back to. And not because I have some profound insight on anything. I think I do, but I think we all think we do. Hopefully you come back because you can see in my journey where I'm at in my life. You can see a little bit of something that you can take away for your life. Something that either I did a certain way or I didn't do a certain way, but you get something from that. And I'm trying to make a channel that's as authentically mine, that is through my eyes, through my experienced hands, but still make it in a way that somebody could see it and enjoy it because they see a little bit of themselves in what I'm doing. And that might be a big ask. I don't know. But I'm gonna try. So to break it down, my real name is not Jack. That's my alter ego. And it comes on the play of Jack of all trades, master of none, but quite often better than a master of one. And whenever I say that, I always have to give the full quote because that's so misquoted that it just hits me here. That people take that quote and kind of bastardize it to make it mean something that it never was supposed to. It was never supposed to be a slight or an insult. It was definitely a compliment. It was saying you didn't master any one thing, but you had your hands in a whole lot of pots and you were good with those pots. And that's who I am. I do a bunch of different stuff. So my AKA, my alter ego is Jack all trade. My real name is Blair. So if you come from the Dirtbag Association, you'll hear me say, I'm Blair, and this is the Dirtbag Association, where our wax is old, our knees are older, but the stoke doesn't melt. That wax is still old. Those knees are still old, and that stoke doesn't melt. But the snow doesn't fly all year round, at least not where any one of us are at that point in time. So you gotta have something that you can do in the interim. And I realized what I do, what I talk about, is more of a life stage philosophy. And I came up with the Second Intermission based on hockey. I'm not gonna say I'm a hockey player. I have no stick control. I can barely skate, but I like the hockey analogy. Much better than the second half or the innings or the periods. Because hockey has three periods. And it maps out perfectly with stages of life. And it maps out with stages of life, not so much because of those 3 periods, but because of those 2 intermissions. There's a point in time where you live a period of your life, 1 period. You chop up that ice with all the things that you learned. Then comes that intermission. Zamboni comes out, smooths over the ice, gives you a cool, clean surface to skate on again. Helps you learn what you needed to learn from that first period. In the second intermission, I think that's somewhere around 45 to 55. That's where I'm at now. And I could have a general channel just talking about that. But I don't think that's detailed enough. So it's for men 45 to 55. That's where I think everything else stems from. My dirtbag association, my products that I make, my side hustles, they all come from the man that I am, the man that I've become. And I think it becomes easier to have those conversations like this one, kind of off the cuff, just talking. Hopefully it's not too rambling. Hopefully I don't have to edit it too much. But if you know what you're talking about, because you've lived that life, you've built skill in those hands, you have things to talk about. I think that's something you should do. Now, I'm not going to go and say everybody should be making a YouTube channel and talking on the internet, because it's kind of a thing that has a little bit of conceit to think that anybody wants to hear what you have to say. But I think we all have a story. And I think we all have pieces of that story that are similar. Different backgrounds, different races, different social economic status. But there's things that we all have in common. And there's things that we can all learn while that Zamboni is smoothing that ice over. So hopefully you stick with me in this second intermission, because talking it through, understanding it, makes skating that final period, that period that ends in sudden death, makes skating that period a little bit easier in my estimation. So that's who I am. That's why the channel has several different focuses, because I've been making stuff all my life. And for a lot of people in this age bracket, we didn't grow up chronicling the things that we did as we did them. So the transition is going to be a little rough, because I still don't exactly know how to work, craft, film, talk, and give it in a way that is captivating. I think I'm doing an okay job at it, because I think I have life experience that is worth talking about. But who knows? The views, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions, all that's going to be the indicator of if I'm doing it successful or not. But even if I'm not, I'm going to keep doing it. You know, because you get better with practice. You get better with time. You get better with age. See that failed cigar? I've been talking for a while, kind of yapping. Still lit, still burning, still going. It definitely smokes different. But that's one of the cool things about being a crafter of something you love. You figure out a way to make the quick one-offs. You figure out a way to utilize your imperfections. You figure out a way to just be more productive with your scraps. And that's one of the things that's going to be a big theme about what I'm talking about. And there's going to be some irony in the statement that I'm going to make right now. And I think we all should learn to be more producers and less consumers. And I know the irony probably hits you because I'm making something that somebody is supposed to sit back, relax, and consume. And that's not lost on me. But the statement is still true. I think we need to figure out a way to become producers at a lot higher rate than we are. Because right now, we consume. And I'm not going to come at it with a conservationist mindset because that's not who I am. But I'm going to come at it as a person that just knows there's more joy in production than it is in consuming. Now, even if you take a person who likes cars, a tinkerer in that way, that some of the best times on that consumer-driven purchase is the driving, is the simple maintenance that you can do. It's still being able to work with your hands and put something in it. So even in the things that you consume, you still want to produce. In that house, you have that backyard where you put the grill in, where you make a great steak. That's production. Even in something that was all consumer, that house, that backyard. You still just got to figure out a way to bring your bit of craft into everything you do. And when you do that, when you figure that out, you'll see the world differently. You'll see the world in a way in which there's something to be made around every corner. There's something to be improved around every corner. And every little bit of consumerism can lead you to another door of production. And I know that is probably somewhat philosophical. And the 25s and the 30-year-olds watching this channel, they're going to see that all as this philosophy mumbo jumbo. But second intermission people like you and me, 45s to 55s, you understand that there needs to be a little bit of colorful language, a little bit of poetry in everything you say. Because everything needs a little bit of refinement. And you understand what I'm talking about, I think. And if not, let me know. Because that'll help me get better at talking about the things that I'm going to talk about. Uh-oh. That wasn't a bad ash right there. Let's see. See if I got any flame in there anywhere where I can spark this up, or do I have to actually pull out the torch? Nope. Think I waited a little too long and I got to give it some fire. That's a simple fix though. Doesn't have to be pretty. I'm making a video. What do you need?
I just had a question. Does it matter what I have for lunch? Like, was there a dinner plan that I should save the fish or save the chicken?
No, probably eat the fish.
Okay.
I think it needs a little tad bit more seasoning on it, but you can do that on your own.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
And girlfriend always calls when I'm making a video. But that's life, I guess. All that to say, that's who I am. I'm Jack All Trade. This is the Second Intermission. It's a channel for people like me, hopefully people like you, men, 45 to 55-year-olds that are starting to ask different questions, that are in that second intermission, learning the lessons they learned from the first two periods in that first intermission. While the Zamboni cleans and smooths that ice, so when we take the ice, we step back on there for that third and final period that always ends in sudden death. We can enjoy it. We can realize that that third period still has a lot of time. So yeah, hopefully you follow me on this journey. Hopefully you interact with me on this journey. Hopefully you help me on this journey. Give me comments, give me ideas, give me suggestions. Tell me what I'm doing right, but do it in a respectful way. Tell me what you like and don't need to do it in a gushing way. Just be that true, honest man that I would talk to in the yard with a cigar and a coffee. Stay positive and tune in.